another episode of the Four Downs Podcast, the show where we talk 4 trending NFL topics in 20 minutes or less. Today will be our final episode of the season. We sort of thought that last week might be our final episode, but we talked about it. We wanted to get one more in, talk a little bit of off-season football.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to cover today. A little bit of free agency, a little bit of draft, maybe some way too early predictions. I'm joined, as always, by Josh, a.k.a. Kablumski. How you doing today, brother?
Brother, we can't get enough of this, man. There's my bubbles, my balloons. I love it. We just can't get enough, man. We got to give the people what they want. They wanted to hear some more, so let's give it to them. Thanks for having me again.
Without further ado, let's get into it. And I'm excited. Josh, you excited?
Let's do it. Pumped.
Good. Let's roll. Our first topic today is going to cover the free agent quarterbacks hitting the market, and I have 4 in particular I want to discuss. I've got Sam Darnold, I've got Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, and Kirk Cousins. Of course, there are others. You've got some minor guys, Gardner Minshew, Jameis Winston. But with the time we have, I do want to talk what I'm considering the big 4 in this offseason. So I'm going to throw my predictions out. I'm going to let you throw your predictions out for these guys, and then we'll talk, maybe bounce back and forth a little bit, disagree, agree on some things. I've got Darnold going to the Raiders this offseason. I have Justin Fields staying with the Steelers, Russell Wilson to the Jets, and Kirk Cousins being released. Obviously, that is key in this prediction, being released by the Falcons and ending up with the Cleveland Browns.
Yikes.
My only kind of wiggle there is if the Titans were to pass on Cam Ward in the draft, maybe get a boatload of picks, let one of those other teams take Cam Ward, I could see Darnold fitting with the Titans. Wilson, if the Jets pass up on him, I can see Russell Wilson fitting in with the Giants. So go ahead, give me your takes on those 4 guys, and then we'll see where we agree and don't.
Yeah, absolutely. No, honestly, you're not too far off, in my opinion, and it all makes sense. I don't think the Titans are going to pass up, though, on that. Just throwing that out there. But Russell Wilson's going to Las Vegas. I think I said that in a podcast before. Just the familiarity with Pete Carroll and what they got going on there. Tom Brady likes a veteran quarterback. Everybody puts Shedeur Sanders just because of the ties with Tom Brady, blah, blah, blah. But that's not going to happen. I think they go veteran route there. Russell Wilson kind of, I don't think he takes him to the promised land, but definitely revamps that and kind of gets them in the right direction, right? Justin Fields, I think you're right. They stay at Pittsburgh. I think that Tomlin did right by him, did it respectfully, and I think there was no bridges burned, right? I think that camaraderie is still going to be there. The players backed him up. He had the locker room behind him for the first, few games that he was starting. So I think that continues. Sam Darnold staying in Minnesota. I'm not too surprised on your takes, though, on Sam Darnold. And it does make sense, but he stays at Minnesota. I think that when you have the best wide receiver in the game, or one of the best wide receivers in the game,
one of the best duos too, by the way.
Exactly, that plays a factor. Excuse me, sorry. That plays a huge factor in that decision, and he stays there. Kirko Chains. Cousins, that's a great prediction of him going to Cleveland, but I got him going to Alex's team in Indianapolis, the Colts. Alex, if you're hearing this, which I know you are, you're welcome, or I'm sorry, depending on how you look at it. But no, honestly, I think that they get a veteran presence there for Anthony Richardson. Show him what it is to be a leader. Show him what it is to be a leader of men in the locker room, and how to be a veteran on the field. And I think that it's not going to hurt Anthony Richardson. So
here's my question on the Colts. Did they not learn their lesson, though, with Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers coming in there to sort of end their career? It didn't work out in either of those cases, and Kirk Cousins clearly is a guy who's going there to finish out his career. Yeah. So I don't know on that one. That's the only one I wholeheartedly don't really agree with, just because they've tried that before.
I can see that. But real quick, though, literally, though, I mean, you talk about Phillip Rivers and Matt Ryan, they had literally like 1 year left, right?
Yeah.
I still think that Cousins has maybe 2 to 3, right? Realistically, injuries, obviously play a role in it, but I don't think that I don't think he's at that level that Rivers was at and Matt Ryan were at. But yeah, good point.
Already
good point.
Way over the bridge.
Way overdue.
Now, here's my thing with Russell Wilson in Vegas. He knows that they are not in a position to compete anytime within the next few years. Whereas the Jets, they've got talent. They have some
For
receivers.
sure.
They have a strong running game. Their defense, before they made a minor coaching mishap last year, letting Saleh go, Jets defense looked great. I can see Russell Wilson having some success there. I think he wants to go to a team where he has a chance to have success because he knows he's not a spring chicken. And if he's going to
100%.
win, he's got to do it right now.
Right now, you're right.
The Giants, Malik Neighbors already there. But that's a pitiful franchise. I don't see him necessarily want to do that. That's why I don't have any of these guys going to the Giants. I'm not sure if any of them want to go to the Giants. So I kind of just put that team aside for the most part. But that's about all the time we have there. Josh, unless you want another 10, 15 seconds on that?
I just want 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
Kyle Trask going to Jacksonville Jaguars. Duval. Just throwing that out there.
But why?
Because that familiarity there. He knows something with Liam Cohen. Duval. That's where he's going, just so you know.
Kyle, hey, you heard it here first. 2025 MVP, Kyle Trask.
Kyle Trask.
Our second topic today is going to be our teams to watch in the 2025 offseason. This is not going to be teams that necessarily have a chance to win the Super Bowl, teams that are getting over the hump. I wanted to touch on two teams that I think are going to have the most interesting off seasons and the most impactful off seasons, not just for the coming year, but for years in the future, because that's really what the offseason can be about, especially if you're a team like the New England Patriots. They just brought in Vrabel, a great head coach, a guy that I think is going to fit their culture really well. They have 100%. The number 4 overall pick. They have their quarterback of the future set up. And most importantly, they have $110 million to spend this offseason. So, a few things for them last season. Ramondre Stevenson, 801 yards, 7 rushing touchdowns. Not an elite running game. Their leading pass catcher was Hunter Henry. Demario Douglas, second. Both of them in the 600s in receiving yards. No pass catcher on the team had more than 3 touchdown catches. So
that's wild.
An abysmal core of skill position players. They could realistically sign T. Higgins, Trey Smith, and Ronnie Stanley this offseason with the money they have. You're adding what I believe to be a legitimate number 1 wide receiver in T. Higgins. Has never had the chance to shine in Cincinnati the way I think he could. Trey Smith, the best guard that's hit free agency maybe in the last 5 years, if not a decade. And Ronnie Stanley, a really, really strong offensive tackle. Now, those are not my full-on predictions. I just think that's the kind of direction they could go in with the space they have, just for the listeners to understand how much money $110 million in cap space is. You could sign those 3 guys to huge contracts and still have $15 to $20 million to spend just to grab a few other small pieces, maybe a number 3 receiver, maybe a safety, just to kind of bolster that defense a little bit. Josh, what do you see them doing? And where do you see them going with the number 4 pick?
Travis Hunter, number 1 as in their first round pick. They're going to go Travis Hunter. And I say that because you're talking about the hole in wide receiver and the hole on the defense. Now, granted, they have Gonzalez over there, lockdown corner. That guy is tremendous. Defense wins championships. I said that multiple times. We've seen it this past year. But they can pick and choose what they want to do with Travis. Hey, Travis, we need help in the wide receiving room. Let's focus you over there. I don't think Travis is going to go both ways, right? But I'm not going to talk about Travis too much. That's a later podcast. But I think the point that you were bringing out as far as the guard and the tackle, I think those are very huge. You get the quarterback of the future. You got your franchise quarterback. Vrabel knows what a franchise quarterback is capable of doing, right? And not only that, that organization knows how to spend their money. They're not going to blow their load on one big-time player, one big-time name. They do. You go back to the Belichick days, they call it the Patriot way. And they do that for a reason. And mind you, the Patriot way, the owner's still there. So he still has And Variable knows about that Patriot way. So it's not going to, like you said, maybe 3 key pieces, but there's going to be 5 or 6 key acquisitions that they're going to make that's going to turn this franchise around. And then having that 4th overall pick, which I believe is going to be Travis Hunter, is just going to be the icing on the cake.
I disagree with you on the number 4 overall pick, but we'll talk about that in our next topic. Real quick, at the minute we have,
yes.
My second team to watch, obviously, is the Washington Commanders. $82.2 million in cap space. They need O-line help. They could use a cornerback. So here's what I put together. Charvarius Ward, Khalil Mack, and Cam Robinson. Obviously, Cam Robinson, the tackle from the Vikings. Khalil Mack coming off a resurgent year with the Chargers. And Charvarius Ward, maybe not a lockdown elite cornerback anymore, but certainly a guy who can still play his position. And once again, that's not going to happen, but that's the kind of move they could make in this offseason as a team that has significantly fewer holes than the Patriots, but still has a ton of money to spend coming off a year where they went to the NFC Championship. So, Josh, with the 25 seconds left, you can have a few bonus seconds. What do you got for the Commanders?
I don't think you're far off either. I mean, you guys know that I've been a fan of them, especially for Jaden Daniels for this whole season, right? But I think they gave him a little bit more help in the backfield. I think that's a position that we're kind of not looking at because of Brian Robinson, which I'm not taking nothing away from him, nothing away from his production, but they're seeing what Baltimore did with a big time back and just the NFL in general having a big time back, and that helps out your quarterback, especially a mobile quarterback. But DQ, Dan Quinn, is a defensive-minded coach. He knows that defense wins championships. He built the Legion of Boom, and I think we're going to have a resurgence of a Legion of Boom 2.0 coming up in Washington here shortly.
Good. Unfortunately, the best running back in free agency, I believe, is Aaron Jones. But they have all their picks. So there's always a chance they could make a trade for somebody. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure who's going to be available. Maybe if the Jets aren't able to put something together, a guy like Breece Hall. But we will see. I think the Commanders, this is the year that the NFC could be wide open. If the Eagles aren't able to secure a lot of their pieces, because they do have quite a bit hitting free agency, this could be a huge offseason for the Commanders and absolutely one to watch. Our third topic today is going to be talking just a little bit of NFL draft. And forewarning, I'm an NFL football fan. I do watch my college football, but I am in no means an expert. With that, my main point with this draft, I don't believe in any of the quarterbacks in this draft. Cam Ward obviously rewrote the single season record books in Miami. Got a great arm. He's quick. He's mobile. After him, I'm not a Shooter Sanders believer, and that's about as deep as this QB pool goes. And there's other guys in the draft, but those are the 2 guys that they're talking about as potential future franchise guys. So with some of these teams at the top of the draft, obviously a few of them are going to go after guys like Darnold, Russell Wilson, perhaps Kirk Cousins, like we spoke about. I'm really interested in seeing where some of these tackles go, the offensive linemen, because you've got a lot of teams at the top that need a quarterback and need offensive line help. So a team like the Jets, a team like the Browns, a team like the Raiders, where do they go outside of Cam Ward? You were talking about Travis Hunter, and that's probably going to be the big discussion of the draft. What position does he play and where does he end up? You like him as a cornerback, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
I just like him. No Diddy.
Just like
no Diddy. I just like him.
So and we're probably going to spend a lot of the segment talking about Travis Hunter. Right. My take on him is if he's not the best wide receiver in the class, that would be McMillan. Correct. He's not the best cornerback in the draft. That would be Will Johnson out of Michigan. Correct. So what's the mentality of taking a Travis Hunter in the top 5 if he's not the best guy available at whatever position you're going to put him at, because nobody's playing both ways in the NFL outside of maybe like a gadget play or a little bit of wildcat, something strange trick play. Right. Why are you so big on your boy?
The guy's a pure athlete. At the end of the day, when you put X's and O's away, it's going out there and competing. It's going out there to see who's the best athlete, right?
But
And
everybody in the NFL is a great athlete.
And I get that. And everybody has their one position in the NFL. This guy was doing it with two positions at a high level in college. That's probably not going to transfer over in the NFL, which you're absolutely right. I don't think so as well. But once you get him to say, hey, Travis, go this way and focus on this, or hey, Travis, go this way and focus on this. His mentality as an athlete, as a competitor, will take full ownership of that and take full priority of it. And not only is he's, like you say, he's not the best cornerback, he's not the best receiver, but he damn sure is the best top 10. He's in the top 10 of both positions. So if you take that and you elevate it and you focus in on one position, you elevate his game, his knowledge of the game, and each position that he plays on itself. He was a wide receiver, so he knows the wide receiver routes, the positioning, how they break, things of that nature, and vice versa. So that's why I think that he's such an X factor. He's such an X factor in this draft.
So, point blank, yes or no? Is he an elite NFL cornerback? Point blank, yes or no?
Not yet. Not
Okay,
yet.
is he an elite NFL wide receiver?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
So, is Abdul Carter an elite edge rusher?
Yes.
Fuck yes. Is Will Campbell an elite offensive tackle?
Yes.
Okay. Is McMillan an elite wide receiver?
He will be. He will be.
So
No, I get it. I'm not
that's my
arguing
thought
that.
process.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not arguing what's a bit, but I'm just saying that you just have a pure talented player that you can do whatever you want with him. Like legit, make him to mold him to where you want. He's benefited from both sides, so he's understanding of how it works on both sides. So if you focus in on one side of the ball, I think that you got a hidden gem there. I truly do.
I just think like, what are the odds that he ends up being a number 3 receiver or, a slot corner and ends up playing special teams a lot as a returnman? I just think it's too much risk. And I'm not taking anything away from him. He's an outstanding athlete. Mm-hmm. He's one of the most impressive athletic talents we've seen. Mm-hmm. But I'm not putting the future of my franchise on him when I could take a guy that could transform my defense. A guy who could come in at 6'5", mm-hmm. McMillan, and be not just a number 1 on your team, but maybe a top 5 talent in the entire NFL. Mm-hmm. But like, I just don't want to come across as a Travis Hunter hater. I'm a Travis Hunter narrative hater. Okay. It's that they're trying to drive it so hard that I feel like a lot of teams are buying into it just for the publicity, just for fans to say, "Oh, we got Travis Hunter, Heisman." A lot of people who maybe don't follow football but have heard that name enough that they'll tune in to see him play. So, Travis Hunter, I know you're not watching this, but if you are, in the off chance, I'm sorry. I don't hate you. I think that wraps up.
I love you. I've been on your side since Jackson State, baby. No Diddy, I'm with you, baby.
Oh, well. All right, Josh. Yeah. Are we done with the love fest? Can we move on to predictions?
Let's go.
Our final segment today and of the 2024 NFL season is probably the dumbest thing you can do, and that's make Super Bowl predictions for next season.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got the Kansas City Chiefs winning the 2025 Super Bowl.
I've
seen some of the craziest articles. Does the Chiefs release Travis Kelce? Do the Chiefs... all kinds of crazy stuff. No. And there's this Chiefs panic going on. And what I say to the entire NFL and anyone watching this is take a breath. The Chiefs are going to get Rashee Rice back at some point next year. We had some injuries on the offensive line. We've got to make some decisions with guys like Justin Reed and Trey Smith. I don't think we can afford to re-sign Trey Smith. But we have Brett Veach. He's one of, if not the best general managers in the NFL. We've got the best coaching staff, period, in the NFL. And I'm not afraid of the Bills or the Ravens. The Bengals, if I was going to pick another AFC team to make it to the Super Bowl, I would take the Bengals.
Yeah.
Over the Chiefs. I think the AFC Championship could be Chiefs-Bengals.
Yeah, I can see that.
My prediction, and this is going to sound like the most boring thing, I've got the Eagles coming out of the NFC again.
No.
Because who's really going to take them down? I think the Lions' window was last year.
Yeah.
They're losing a lot from their
Mm.
coaching staff. They've also got their coordinators that are leaving are taking other assistant coaches with them. They're going to
Right.
have to rebuild what was a very strong coaching staff. And I feel like this was a huge letdown for them this year.
Right.
A momentum killer because this was supposed to be their year, and they got knocked out in somewhat embarrassing fashion. Didn't even have a chance to play in the NFC Championship. So I would have to go Chiefs Eagles again, just because it's a strange dynamic in the NFL right now, especially in the NFC side, and you have two contending teams in the AFC who have yet to prove that they can knock the Chiefs off the pedestal. So, Josh, where are you going? Super Bowl predictions.
I don't think you're too far off. I don't think definitely you're off on the Chiefs, I should say. Let me throw that out there. No, but all jokes aside, Chiefs fans, relax. You guys are okay. You guys are going to make a push. As long as you guys got the key ingredients with that coaching staff, you guys are going to be okay. I think that you hit a very solid point talking about the Lions. And that's the reasons why I am picking the Lions. I get they lost Ben Johnson. I get they lost Glenn, two big key pieces to what they were trying to do. But I think that chip on their shoulder, if there's any team that plays with a chip on their shoulder, is the Detroit Lions. And it's mostly in part due by the head coach, Dan Campbell. He knows how to really rectify and push that on his team. And make them play better with that chip on their shoulder. I don't think it matters about the coordinators and the assistant. I think it's a player-driven locker room there. Their culture is very player-driven, and if they get one more big-time defensive end or edge rusher, one of the three main ones out there, hopefully, we're talking about a big season for them. You got to remember they lost 13 players on the defensive side of the ball and still made it to how far they made it. Yes, they had a few returning, but you got to remember they lost a lot of time. And then you flip it back. Lamar Jackson. I'm going to say it again until he gets one. I still feel like he is the man. And that's not throwing shade to Josh Allen. It's just that Baltimore knows what time it is. They know that the window is going to be opening, but it's going to be a short window. They got to attack. I think they make key additions to their team. I think they keep Stanley, and I think they move forward in a position to where they know whatever they got to do to get over that hump. They make those key decisions this offseason.
Lamar Jackson's got to prove it. He's got to prove to everybody that he can do it, and that's why I'm not high on him coming into this season, because once again he proved that he can't get it done. And I look at what I've seen. I look at the proof I have. He's proven time and time again he can't get it done. Until he proves to me that he can get it done, I'm not picking him. And you do make a great point on the Lions that I forgot. They lost Hutchinson. They lost Anzalone for a few weeks. Those guys come back. The question is, are they 100%? Is the defense going to mesh again? Because they looked unstoppable all season until they weren't. And it would take a big bounce back year for some of those guys, and they'd have to prove that they can put that loss to the Commanders, which was embarrassing. If they can truly put that in the rearview mirror and move on, then by all means, they're absolutely a contending team. I just think the Eagles are going to be hard to take down, and you're going to have a better Commanders team than you saw this past year, even with that development of Jaden Daniels. I don't see him going into a sophomore slump. So you've got Lions, Ravens. I'm calling Chiefs, Eagles, run it back, give this one to the Chiefs, 2025 Super Bowl champions.
Stop.
Lock it in.
Stop.
And that should do it.
Yes.
I'm going to stop you before you say anything else. Once again, guys, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, follow, leave us a comment. Give us some of your QB predictions. Who are
Yeah.
your Super Bowl predictions? We want to hear from you. It's been a fun season. We love talking football. Josh, once again, thank you so much for joining us almost every week, taking the time. Stay tuned. Subscribe, because in just a few weeks, we're going to be starting the Cycle podcast. Same exact format. I'm pumped.
I'm
Same
so pumped
format. Same short bites of your sports news, all focusing on the true best sport in America, America's game,
sir.
the
Yes,
major
sir.
leagues.
Yes, sir.
Josh, anything we got for us?
Yeah, listen, guys, like, subscribe, like he said, and the comments below, just flood the comments on telling John that the Chiefs are not going to win the Super Bowl, please, so it doesn't look like I'm the bad guy. Please help me out with saying that. Until the next time, though, it's like he said, look out for the cycle. I'm looking forward to that. I love baseball. As you guys know, that's my number one sport. I'm just looking forward to that, and stay tuned.
We'll see you next time.
See ya, please. Kabloomski.